This is Michael W. Ford. I'm aware it's been quite a few months since I've posted a video, but my work has kept me really intensely involved in areas that aren't really, in a public sense, useful. Coming to the conclusion of several important works that I have planned for publication, I want to reestablish some of the basic tenets of the Luciferian ideology and the approach in Magick. We're first going to start with the work Dragon of the Two Flames. We're going to reference Adversarial Light, Magick of the Nephilim, Mascamhul, Babylonian Magick, and even Goetia of Shadows. The purpose of this is to simplify and to really direct with an easy interpretation of the process of adversarial magic. What I'll first tell you is that Luciferianism is not an invented religion, faith, or something I, on a whim, decided to elaborate upon. Luciferianism is an ideology which centers the individual towards achieving self-excellence, initiation, and a thorough, perhaps for one of the first times in our modern age, the darkness or the perceived left-hand path as a conceptual path towards understanding a balance in nature and within yourself. If you take a few of the titles I've mentioned, Dragon of the Two Flames, Adversarial Light, you can take the basic principles of Luciferianism and apply it to your life in a magically productive way. So one of the things I will tell you is that all of the rituals, and I'm speaking for the titles that I've mentioned previously, and all of the practices are reinterpreted in a modern sense in translation with the same foundations of the old pantheons of the pre-Christian world, specifically the ancient Near East, Mesopotamia through the Akkadian, Sumerian, Babylonian, Neo-Assyrian, to the Syrian, the Canaanite, the Moabites, the Egyptian from Middle Kingdom all the way through New, crowning with the New Kingdom into the Ptolemaic and Hellenic age. The Hellenic pantheons developed after Alexander the Great from temple records, from all of these things that we have available if you really look hard enough. And my purpose of doing this is not to invent a religion, but rather to redefine and reestablish the old pantheons and cults in a modern Luciferian way, meaning to obtain knowledge, to obtain power, a study, an understanding, and an application with results of the primordial into the illuminated or insightful Black Adept. The use of demonology is highly significant in that the Judeo-Christian world and the monotheistic cults will tell you this is your enemy, because it's naturally a restraint on the instinctual and natural course of the human mind, body, and spirit. Modern Satanists understand the adversary as a symbol or more of our natural instincts and our potential in power here and now. Luciferians, and the difference herein, is that the adversary is the primal motivator in our own cosmology. And we utilize the ancient texts to redefine them in a centering way. One thing I've always told and instructed new initiates or seekers, no matter what path they take, is that Luciferianism acknowledges first that you are the only God that is. Now, whether you're an atheist or theistic, Satanist, spiritualist, it doesn't matter, because it's subjective. I will not relate to you my personal spiritual experiences in a way that I'm dictating to you that's how it is. Nor should you push yours, your own subjective experiences, unless through reflection and display, to others. Because then that makes us no different than Christians. What is the core foundation of my works? Where is the strength? And where can you decide, well, is Michael Ford, is his works authentic or not? Here's how you can always tell. If you take Dragon and the Two Flames, if you take Mascom Whole, Goetia of Shadows, Adversarial Light, take the beginning sections, first 2 chapters. Read what the aim as it's presented in the grimoire. And then make note to the bibliography and the references. They're all there. My work is completely authentic from an archaeological, etymological, and a significant study of the old cults, cultures, customs, their rituals, and I simply redefine them according to modern practice. Some have original language, some do not. Now, for those who have asked, Luciferianism uses made-up phrases in ritual, and that's not real. Well, I'll gently suggest that those critics establish a deeper knowledge of the practice of magic from a historical and a modern perspective. For instance, one of the key formulas in my early grimoires, Book of the Witch Moon, Luciferian Witchcraft, Liber HVHI, have a chaos magic or sorcery approach. Naturally, it's one of the avenues in which my initiation took charge early on, and through the works of Kenneth Grant and Austin Spare, including Aleister Crowley, of course. The use of what is called voices magicae, or magical voices, goes all the way back to the 3rd century BCE with an inscription on the base of the statue of Artemis of Ephesus. And those were magical words that intertwine a deific mask or god or goddess spirit with other aspects phonetically or symbolically in an etymological sense to have new meaning. So those words, as our minds relate to them, empower based on our recital of them. It's an automatic recall of the subconscious and an invocation in itself. These made-up words have been used since known the 3rd century BCE. So to say that mine are made up, blah blah blah, shows that critics don't know their history. But that's okay. Luciferians are here to bring knowledge. The true test of the adept is if you take that knowledge and utilize it, and if you see it when it's in front of you. So with that aside, one of the great avenues and most challenging of my work currently, based on my initiatory aims, my daemon, my true will, is to establish with historical factors modern practice, a continuation, an accent, if you will, of Satanism and ceremonial magic without Judeo-Christian foundations, meaning the grimoire tradition of the medieval period onward. It's not that I dislike the demonic. I've encircled myself in that for over 20 years. But what I'm saying is we can no longer use Christian scare tactics of Adonai and these useless. The use of early steodas or shadow tongue has proved significant in the acts of my avenue of sorcery, and they're perfectly in line with ancient and modern magical practice. In the grimoires, this is outlined how and why, and it's significant to understand that. But also, in my works, there are a line of words of power which are from historical and ancient records of various pantheons and their temple cults, reestablished in a modern way. I also use the method of, when you recite invocation, to completely inflame yourself in that work, because every word rolled from your tongue, chanted in a mantra form, creates a calling to that deep primordial darkness within, and is very significant for the practitioner to completely align with that spiritual essence when invoking. For the new initiate in Luciferianism, depending on your interest and pantheon association, so which culture drives you, which inspires you? Is it the ancient Babylonian? Is it the Canaanite or Syrian? Is it the Hellenic influenced Judaic, such as the Watchers, the Nephilim, or the medieval demonic? Depending on which your inspiration is, your drive, that spark, is how you're going to proceed. So in Mask 'em Whole and in Dragon of the Two Flames, there are several foundation laying techniques which I, through great focus and really meticulous structure, have laid out the ancient definitions, the types of, the categories of magic and sorcery. For instance, in Mask 'em Whole, on the hardback edition of page 293, there's the Anunnaki Siptu, which is deific dialogue. Deific dialogue is a ritual text between a deific mask, a god, and another, and it's used by the Kasapu or sorcerer, or in ancient times an exorcist as well, to outline a magical practice and aim underlining from that. So a type of focus of the mind through another deific mask. There's the Mimnam Lemnu Tispu, which is basically demonic incantations, summoning forth types of spirits to objects. Now this is a type of sorcery which requires, within the circle, a complete investment of belief. But in transferring your energy to that object, it creates a bridge to the gulf beyond, if you will. And then there's Siptu Elu Harsan Anu, which is basically magic of self-transformation. That's Luciferian initiation. And that is invoking a specific deific mask or demon or spirit within, which activates in your subconscious and the primordial, the symbolic representation. That energy is connected and builds and inspires and creates the uprising towards the true will daemon, builds that concept, that spirit, the higher self, through a balance of both darkness and light, and creates that conscious and subconscious change towards what you perceive to be self-excellence. It's a very important part in sorcery, and in Dragon of the Two Flames, the symbolism, the methods of creating altars, of the magical tools, of offerings and sacrifice. And what is sacrifice in Luciferianism? It's not killing something, which in the ancient Near East, to kill something, offer an animal, and consume or burn it afterwards using all of it, is an act of dedication, of purity. It's not a perverted act or anything like that. But modern practitioners, which I've always suggested, in works of working with the gods, deities that are associated, or specific types of energy associated with nature and the self and the relation, and the anthropomorphic image, the visualization, the imagination of it, what that represents. In calling that, you don't offer killings. What you do is you offer libations, you offer incense, fumigation, and your own invocations call forth and honor that specific deific mask, whichever it is, including your daemon. Ritual tools are very important in that they have symbolic meaning, but they're also sacred in their own way. And when you enter the circle of sorcery, there is no difference between the daylight, the mundane consciousness, and the shadow side, the night side, the realm of fantasy imagination. Both of these are very important in accomplishing initiation on a continual basis. A libation bowl, whether it be a modern one such as this with the pentagram within, simply is filled with wine, water, honey and water, beer, used throughout the Sumerian world into Egypt, is held. The invocation is recited with an intensity and a meaning towards the goal that you have. And then the libation is poured either into a plant, a sacred plant that you have, outside into a statue base, whatever that is, however you wish to do that. Some may even drink from the chalice in symbolism of that. The libation is poured. There are different types, such as this Mesopotamian offering funerary bowl it's a replica from Sumerian times, poured in honor of the specific deific mask or god, a demon called. The Black Adept never bows a knee to any power. Rather, it is realized through them and their entirety of being. And many have asked, well, theistic or atheistic, well, all I'll tell you is that in Luciferianism, knowledge, reason, intellect, instinct are all united with the investment of belief in fantasy and imagination towards a realistic end. So your imagination has a ground in reality if the channels for its manifestation are met. Very important there. So for someone to tell me, or to write to me and say, I worship Father Satan, and I'm a theistic Satanist, or an atheistic, and I believe this, and this, that means absolutely nothing, because it has to find reality in your world. And subjectively, I can't force my ideas in that way, in my own personal way, nor can you. The best way is the objective way, which is, as you see in my books, I present to you the etymological origin, the cultural origin, the centering of those specific deific masks, and how they can be utilized in ritual. During the ritual and the invocation, all of the spiritual growth will take place on its own in your own way. Utilizing the rites of sorcery, in a modern sense, can be done quietly or in a more ceremonial manner. So don't feel as if you should be overwhelmed trying 500 rites. Pick a few based on foundation and build a discipline upon that. That is the balance of darkness and the black flame of light. And that light is not from something you're trying to reach, but something within you that you're developing, that you're bringing forth. You don't want union with a deity. That's to be absorbed. What you want is to illuminate your daemon, your true will,